Hey, it's week 9. This is a project we're working on today, is planting our spring ranunculus for bloom in late May and early June. These are going to be field planted, so let's walk through the process. Right now in February, our soil is kind of warmed up. We still have another probably good month for these guys to grow in a vegetative way. They're not going to be as big as our tunnel grown ranunculus, but they should really provide nice heads for late spring, early summer. We're planting them in our experimental area. These boxes here are typically just used for testing out new varieties, and that's what we've used them for in the past. But since the pandemic and our volumes are so much lower, this is going to be actually a production area now this year. We've got 2 additional beds over there. We're going to plant 100 ranunculus in each one. We're doing 3 different varieties, and when we go down to the greenhouse and show you the bubbling and the kind of plumping them up process that we do to get them kind of primed, to get them started before we plant, we'll talk about the varieties and how we're going to do that. But these are all going to be directly planted. We're not going to be doing any kind of pre-sprout or growing them in a plug tray and then transplanting them. So all we're going to be doing is plumping these guys up and sticking them in these beds. Now, these beds were tarped last fall after we finished with summer annuals. The last thing on these beds here were sunflowers, and all the stumps and everything are all gone. Everything, there was a little refuse on the top, but so we're just trying to make it clean before we plant, and so we raked that off, and we're going to be doing the same thing to this bed here. So let's unveil this one and we'll show you what it kind of looks like. Okay, we're just going to take the tarp off here. We got all the anchor rocks off.
Hey, good sign, no mice.
What's that?
Good sign, no mice.
Nothing jumped out, but there definitely are a few holes. Okay, we got a little bit of sunflower residue left on the top, and what we would do normally, if we were just like planting something that maybe wasn't as tender as the ranunculus coming up, is we would just put compost over the top and then maybe do a little raking to kind of fill in some of the rodent holes and just plant directly into it. But in this case, what we're going to do is I want to make sure I'm not leaving any hiding places for slugs, because they really like to go after ranunculus. So we're going to rake this stuff off and just kind of make sure all the holes are filled in, take care of any weeds that are on the side of the bed. But as you can see, the vast majority of the bed is really in pretty good shape. And the soil itself is quite loose. So I don't think we got any problems here. So just by raking it, it should collapse any rodent holes that are in here. We've got this bed all ready to go, so all 3 of them are good to go.
These had sunflowers in them. Is there any stalks in there?
This is the only one I found, and it's just kind of like not really even recognizable, and it's pretty well rotted. So the answer is no, they're gone. All the stumps, they just disappear.
Yay.
No digging. Everything here is totally no-till. The only thing I did is raked off the refuse and then just kind of gently scratched it with a rake, and we'll plant the ranunculus on it. I may, depending on how things go, get back to here before they germinate and put like a kiss coat of urban waste compost over the top, maybe like a 1/4 inch or something like that, just to kind of give it a little extra insulation. And that's really all we need to do. So a couple of key points. One, we're in zone 8B, and this is today is February 21st, I believe, and so that's why we're planting these guys today. Different zones are different, you know, in terms of like further north, somebody could probably get away with doing this maybe a little bit later, particularly if they're very cool in the early part of summer. It would probably work out fine. We're also kind of cognizant too that day length does play a role in ranunculus blooming, and the longer they bloom into the long day. So when they get to 12 hours, it's kind of their signal to go fast into blooming. So the later you plant something of a ranunculus, like towards the spring equinox, when you get to 12 hours, anything that's planted, from kind of that point forward is going to grow very fast vegetatively and go into blooming, and you're going to get relatively small blooms under most circumstances. In our case, we know these guys are going to be smaller, but they'll bloom prolific enough that it'll be kind of its own class of ranunculus unto itself. Not like the big huge ones you get out of the tunnel, but with these guys, they make great color spots in the bouquets and things of that nature, and they still have pretty decent stem length too. So let's go down to the greenhouse. So anyway, what we're going to be doing here is we're going to plant out some spring ranunculus. These are all saved corms that we took out of our tunnel last year. We planted a bunch in the fall, but these we busted the corms apart, so we got these guys pretty much in like, I think they're like 5/7 roughly. Some of them are a little bigger, maybe some of them a little smaller, but like this group right here I'm reaching my hand into, these are the salmons. And these are elegant series salmons, so they're in pretty good shape. And then we've got some Avidine pastel mix, some white picotees, and I think I've got yeah, I guess just the salmon. Those are the colors we're going to be dealing with, kind of a mix and a picotee and a salmon color. So we got to get our aeration bucket set up. We're going to be let's see, we got the air stones. We got to have, oh yeah, here's our tubing we use. Things are kind of tight quarters here in our greenhouse, so these are just polyflex tubing. And then we need our air. Got to get our air pump out of here. There it is right there. Okay, so this is just an aquarium air pump. We've used this thing for years for a variety of different things. All right, we got these guys all sorted out. Got about 100 of these guys in here. So we're just gonna put this into the, see you later, Webb, into our bucket. And we got, hopefully I can get them all in here. That's it's gonna be a little tricky. Got about 300 that we're gonna do, and I got the last one right here. Yep, it'll all fit. So the whole point of what we're gonna do here is just fill this up with water and turn the bubbler on for a couple hours. Since these are going to be planted outside, we're going to do this pretty fast. So I guess the next step here is just get some water into this bad boy. Okay, we'll just let these guys sit for a couple hours. The pump's all set. Got it maxed out. Make sure I got it maxed out one way or the other. Yep, there we go. We're maxed out. Okay, got bubbles coming in. It's looking good. All right, give it 3 hours, maybe. I'll come back and check them too. Okay, these guys have been bubbling now for about 2 hours, and frankly, I think they're about ready. Let's just check this guy on the top here. Get into the bag. I mean, all we're trying to do is just get the basic of these guys plumped up, and they're substantially, they look much bigger than they were. And I think these guys are ready to plant. So So yeah, I think we're good. So we'll pull these guys out. I think 2 hours is just long enough. Remember, these are going to be in the field, so there's plenty of moisture in the soil, and it's going to rain on them and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, it's all good. All we're trying to do is get these guys primed. That's basically it. They're not going to be any kind of pre-sprout or anything like that. So what we'll be doing is using our dibble stick to punch a hole, and then we'll just plant directly into that and cover them up. So these guys are ready to go. We just take them out, let them drain for a little bit, and then we can get planting. Okay, this is what I call the doubting dibbler. Okay, hat tip to Charles Dowding in the UK. I actually got this idea from him. He made his own, and I think he even sells them now in the UK. But the whole idea is it's basically just kind of a stand-up dibbler that you can use to make a hole for plugs, or in this case, we're doing it for our corms. And what we're going to do is these guys don't want to need to be planted too deeply, so we're just kind of shoving into the ground, maybe a total of 2 inches, on it. And then what we're going to do is come back and then just drop a corm in each one of these dibbled holes, and we're going to put 5 rows of 20 in this bed, and that will be about 100, obviously, and they'll be a little tight maybe, but the airflow out here is really pretty good, and it should get adequate moisture, and everything should grow pretty well. So we made our first row. Let's just put a couple in and show you how it works, and then we'll get the rest of them done. Okay, we laid out the 100 holes, and actually here's a kind of a typical corm. We're just going to kind of put it in and nestle it in, and that's about all it is. So there'll be about a 1/2 inch of soil over the top, and we just got to make sure you get them right side up. And that's just kind of the basics of it. It's not going to take too long to go through and plant. As you can see, it goes pretty fast. So we'll get all these guys in, and then we'll put a kiss coat of compost over the top, and nature will wet it in for us tonight, right?
That's what I understand.
Okay, so hey, I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and as always, stay safe out there, and you all have a good day. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.